General Katoch says that, there is no surge. But the point is the perception is of a surge, because very in the last month, we have had incident after incident. We've had former DGPs talking about possible Pakistan commandos we've had veterans talking about recently retired Pakistani regulars possibly infiltrating. So nobody is going to see this decision, as Yasho is saying, as a routine administrative or just some files were shuffled. Everybody, sorry to say, is going to see this as the BSF chief was sacked. That is how it's going to be viewed. And Mr. Sood says that is terrible for morale. There are still men at the border. General Katoch says the buck stops at the top. Can't help it. What do you say?
Let me say that I've served with the BSF and I feel they've done a wonderful job. I've seen how committed they are. It's a thankless job they're doing, because their troops are really very hard pressed. So they're doing the job to the best of their abilities. Now coming on to the issue of the DG, I got a bit of a mixed bag feeling about this. Firstly, yes, it does send a message to the hierarchy, right down the troops, that the government means business. Your DG has been sacked. It could be anyone next. So it just shakes everyone up to be a little more vigilant, to be a little more careful, more committed. But on the other hand, the DG is not exactly, while he's the head of the organization, he's not handling ops on a day-to-day basis, except probably getting a brief daily that what has happened. It is the lower level, the DDGs, the additional DGs, who are the sector commanders, who are handling operations, and they have to be vigilant, they have to be careful, they have to be driving. So to sack a DG does make a point. Compared, they also sack the deputy, who's head of the entire Pakistan border. So in that case, I do believe that that could be more operational linked, that since he's directly responsible for all the operations of the BSF operation of Western Border, it could be somewhat linked. Then I personally feel there is something more to it. There is some specific instructions they were conveyed to them which are not been implemented properly or as desired by the government. Because while the issue of training battalion release of that's not a point which over which you sack DGs. Probably if DG felt so bad and if he was hitting a brick wall, not getting proper, he could have said, "Okay, I resign. I mean, if you can't release my 4-6 battalions, my troops are overworked. I don't want to stay. You remove me." And he could have. It would be embarrassing for the bureaucrats as well as the government. But the fact is that he's been sacked. So, and the last thing is, it's embarrassing. It's a stigma, all right. But then, like the general said, he goes back as a DG of a state. Within 3 months, it'll all be forgotten, and he'll be the most powerful man in a particular state. So that is my mixed bag emotions about this. Now, coming problems a little more deep rooted, but since everyone's not touched it, I also won't. About the parachuting and all that, we leave that out. It's not.
No.
See,
Please, if everyone hasn't touched it, you touch it. Basically,
no,
let me ask the question. Maybe
it's a common
is this 1 minute? Is this an inter-agency, inter-army, police, BSF problem, or is this a problem about the failure to contain infiltration? We don't know. We're thinking.
See, infiltration. There are places I've commanded a battalion in Prakram in the sector of Kathua, Samba. So I know what Mr. Sood was talking about, and Mr. Azad also talking about the 3 tiers. Yes, there used to be tiers in certain places, but the continuous border tier is only of BSF. The rest are at select places, second tier of the army, where there is a threat perception that infiltration takes place from here. Certain spots the army takes over, and police even lesser, more on along the national highway if you come in the depth. This is I'm talking about south of Jammu. North of Jammu, it's a different thing. Now, south of Jammu up to Pathankot, if you notice, all the infiltration rarely takes place from the fence per se. if you see from right to left, every 10, 12 kilometers, there are nalas, rivers running from India to Pakistan. These are, you cannot sit in the nala and control infiltration. They are not that deep. People come from there from the nalas, rivers. That's from where they infiltrate bulk. Yes, certain infiltration does take place. So it is physically not possible to control 100% infiltration. North of Jammu, where the LC fence is there, and mountainous and jungle terrain, there also similarly the infiltration takes place through these broken land places where now, notwithstanding, infiltration has been taking place since the past 20, 30 years, despite the best efforts. So if you say that 100% infiltration can be removed, it cannot be. There will be some infiltration taking place, but what is more important is that you follow up. If an infiltration takes place, something is cut, immediately the message in army used to go that the fencing has been cut. It went right up to the higher level, and the reserve troops were launched in the rear. That this is where it is cut, so this is where probably they can go, and that's how it happened. Now, this is as far as the infiltration is concerned. Now, what I didn't want to touch is that parachuting, which is a talk everyone talks about it, is how the top hierarchy is occupied by the IPS who've done very little service on the ground. I don't know if it's changed in the past 6-7 years that I've been out, and the BSF hierarchy rarely reaches that level. And they've done the soldiering right from the 3-star level, who's done company commander, CO, battalion commander.
Okay.
He's risen. So maybe they're a little out of touch, this thing. I guess things may have improved since I left, but that parachuting straight on top.
I'll let Yashovardhan Azad respond to that before I go to General Katoch, and back then to Sanjeev Sood for final comments. Yashovardhan Azad, is parachuting a problem?
Well, are we talking about parachuting in the context of the infiltration in Jammu? This particular debate, is this an issue on the ability and the capacity of the DG? I think we heard Mr. Sanjeev Sood, who's a BSF officer himself, who's reached one of the highest ranks, one of the most competent persons, who didn't talk about it. But if we talk about it, it requires a separate debate altogether. It is in this context, if we do it, I think it's not really fair to bring in this topic right now. It has no relevance to this. In fact,
is it linked? I think it's relevant only if it's linked. If anyone believes it's linked,
no, it's not linked at all. In fact, let me bring myself again to General's point, and he was totally right. It's not that the Jammu was totally infiltration free, absolutely, and suddenly everything has happened, compared to last year. And he's right about Ajay Sani and his South Asia portal, which is there. It gives a complete year, and we keep a very close eye on that, which gives us a complete picture on this. So I don't think that is really relevant right now. That's a huge debate. There are two sides to it, and there is partly what he's saying is also true. But I think that's some other time for this debate.
Okay, General Katoch, my question is that at a time, you say that the statistics show that it's not a surge. But we had SP Ved, he's been DGP of J&K. He released a video, information that came, I think, from someone who's from Balochistan, talking about the participation of the Pakistan army. There has now been multiple media reports about either serving or recently retired Pakistan regulars who may be part of the infiltrators. Ved Saab spoke about reports of 600 SSG commandos and their involvement. Now, my question is, of course, I don't know if any of this is true, but all of you have been agreeing in the last several weeks that even if statistically there's not a surge, there's something different we're dealing with. Pakistan is trying to do something. It could be linked to the fact that we're trying to hold assembly elections very soon in J&K. Maybe that's the issue. But given all this, can we afford a breakdown of trust or a cracks in cohesion between BSF, police, and army? General Katoch.
Barkha, the first issue, the trust. One thing I want to make very clear, especially in the context of Jammu and Kashmir, there is absolutely excellent coordination between all the services, all the intelligence agencies. There is no doubt. And I hope my initial remarks didn't give the impression that the BSF is not doing a good job. I mean, nobody, and at least if I have if my statement has been attributed or something like that, that is certainly not the case. My point was restricted to the removal of the top man for whatever reasons. That is all. But as far as the ground, I've operated with the BS. I was a commanding officer. I had BSF troops with me. As the BGS of the corps, there were a lot of BSF chaps. And so no, we've had no complaints there. And on the ground, leave aside the DG level and that the senior hierarchy, on the ground, the men work very well. So let there be no doubts about that. That is one. The second aspect of which is the question of parachuting. It's got nothing to do with what has happened. So that is an internal matter of the BSF. It's got nothing else to do with the ground operations. I just want to put that into a context. So whatever happens on the ground, it's got nothing to do with the hierarchy as far as the BSF is concerned and how they are placed there. Now, on this specific question, you see, when I say there's no surge, actually you are taking the data from 1st of January to the present. Now we are talking of about 7 months plus. In that 7 months, when you're taking the data of these 7 months and the 7 months of last year, there is no surge. But when you're taking it of 1 month, if you just take the data of 1 month, there has been a surge in that 1 month, right?
Got it.
And because those incidences were, where the army got targeted and, suddenly you start doing 3 men here, then again an officer and 3 men, then a few days later again 3 men. No, it created concern. And, those incidences, it gave the impression that something dramatically has changed. Now, there is this person whom the DG, Mr. Vaid has quoted. I think his name is Majid. I'm forgetting his name, but I've seen that video of his, right? Yeah. And he claimed, and in his latest video, which I just saw today, he says that the GOC of that Pakistani division has been sacked and all these people have been. Yes. No, listen, I don't believe that. You see, it doesn't work that way. You don't have 600 commandos coming in. If I go with 600 men inside Pakistan undercover, I'll create mayhem there. You see, the power. You don't just, you just go and say start shooting people and all that. Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. Majid has got his own agenda. I've got no problems with that. He's a very pro-Indian voice, so I've got no problem with what he states. But this, even to me, it appeared very, very far-fetched. It doesn't happen that way. But it is true that in this particular month, the incidences multiplied. There was a reason behind it. That reason has got much to do with Pakistan getting isolated and ensuring that they need to keep the Kashmir issue alive, one, and the upcoming elections, both the national elections and the assembly elections, as and when they do come up. They wanted to convey a certain image to world opinion, and they wanted to convey a certain image also to the public or to their own public in Pakistan and to the people of Jammu and Kashmir who are their supporters. So you see, it was a simple message which they were trying to convey. In my earlier talk also had said, the army will eliminate all of them. It's a question of time, if not today, tomorrow. But anybody who comes in with a gun, please rest assured, in Hindi we say, uski ulti ginti shuru ho gayi hai. Wo shuru ho gayi hai, they will be eliminated. But as I also stated earlier, the problem is not these people coming in. Ultimately, if you want to solve the problem, we have to deal with Pindi and sort them out and make it so expensive for them that that means you have to completely reject what we have to do. Barkha.
Yes, and also I think before I come to Mr. Sood, you very well, you very clearly explained why, if you look at 7 months, let's say January to July, you don't see a surge. But if you look at just the month of July, we have actually seen a very distinct turning on, an aggressive provocation or a series of provocations, ambushes from Pakistan. Brigadier Thapar, I see your hand up. I was going to go to Sanjeev Sood, but did you have a point? Go ahead, Brigadier Thapar. Brigadier Thapar.
I retired from that Patoch Deputy GOC of Doda, so I can realize what is happening there. The Pakistan army is trying to activate this area, which has been lying dormant, and that explains the surge. If things not happened for last 14 years, even 2 incidents appear a surge. So that is one. And second, I want to say, let's not forget that the Pak chief is a former ISI head. So he thinks like that. So all this has Pakistan army written all over it.
Absolutely. Sanjeev, so to come back to your opening points about a demotivated morale, for the person stepping in right now, What will be the imperative? Because you see, the man at the border can't let his vigil down, irrespective of what's happening at the top of the hierarchy, the churns, the shifts, the drama. As a sort of BSF veteran, what would you like people to understand today or right now?
Your point is about the person who will be taking over. Is that so?
No, my point is more about the BSF cadres, the men on the ground.
Yeah. So as I said, it is upon now the operational leadership to keep their troops motivated. Unless that happens, the message that has gone down is not a very good one. I would digress to certain points made by Brigadier Thapar. That was about reserves. BSF doesn't have any reserves. All its troops are deployed right on the border. And in fact, I have commanded my unit at Samba from 96 to 99. And at that time, this entire Jammu sector had just 7 battalions. There was just one sector. Now there are 2 sectors and there are 12 battalions. And as I was talking to the DIG there yesterday, he has been given 2 additional battalions over and above what he already had. So he probably now has 7 battalions within his own sector. So insofar as BSF is concerned, it is trying its best to dominate the border in all possible manners.
Are you saying that the BSF needs more boots on the ground?
BSF may not need more boots on the ground. BSF probably needs better technology to understand the or rather to be able to detect tunnels and to be able to counter drones and to be able to match the innovative methods that are being adopted by militants to cross borders. So that may not be more boots on the ground, but what we need to do is to sort of change our methodology of border guarding, which can happen only if we have better technology. Our border guarding technology is totally manpower intensive. We have patrols plonged at about 300, 400, 500 meters according to the area of responsibility. They are equipped with night vision devices or binoculars, etc. And they get no rest and relief. He does duty for 6 hours, comes back and again goes back. So what is required for the commanders to ensure is that the man gets rest, and that is possible only by introducing better technology, better mobility to the troops.
Sure.
So that I mean you have fence, you have a proper border track along the fence, so that the troops keep at one place and they operate in the manner that a QRT operates. So that is one.
Yeah.
We have no reserves. And in September, what was that, 21 or 22, government extended our jurisdiction to say 50 kilometers. Now we have no resources to man our borders, and we are expected to go and do the police job. How can we do that? We have no training for that. We have no manpower for that. And so, we are neither here nor there. So that is one point. And the other point is that I had checked with the eastern frontier. 1/3 of the troops were withdrawn for recent elections, and in 2021, when there were elections, assembly elections in certain places, certain states, 1/3 of the troops were withdrawn for election. Besides, about 1/6 of the troops were being utilized for celebrating Bangladesh ka 50 saal ka pura hone ka. So if you are manning the border with 50% troops, how can you ensure national security? And please understand that internal security is totally linked to border security, especially with Pakistan instigating militancy in Kashmir and earlier in Punjab, and trying to foment trouble here and there by sending drugs and by sending militants. So that must be. And since the point of parachuting has been referred, I agree it is probably not linked to that, and I hope that there'll be a bigger discussion on this
Sure.
issue alone. Another thing is that insofar as policy, when Mr. Agrawal took over in June last year, for 6 good months, it was one man who was commanding CRPF, a strength of 3 lakhs, and also commanding border security force, which has a strength of 2.65 lakhs, and with 2 entirely different domains. How can one person manage that? Doesn't the government have enough qualified people to appoint them as a director general? Even now, when Agrawal has been posted out, another officer, I think, of SSB has been given additional charge. SSB has area of responsibility of Bhutan, Nepal, and so he now has to look after the entire border of the country, almost 10,000 kilometers. How can one man supervise so many things? So government
Yeah.
has to be proactive in filling these vacancies and ensuring that the chain of command remains.
Now
That's
you
it.
have made a number. You have made a number of very important points, and I don't know how many people have actually processed that BSF troops are diverted for election management.